Hey guys, welcome to another episode of My Secret Atheist podcast. On this episode, we've got a great interview with Isabelle Narayana, who is a Pastafarian. Recently, Isabelle ran into problems at the motor license issuing office. This is the SAAQ in Quebec. She was asked to take off her spaghetti colander, or rather spaghetti strainer hat, while Muslims and other people of accepted religions are allowed to keep these items on during the picture-taking process. I also want to make it clear that during the interview, Isabelle expresses an opinion about the hijab. I totally respect this opinion and also the opinions that have been made on prior shows about this, but I want to make it clear to the listener that my own personal opinion is a little different than what's been expressed so far. I'm currently working on a future program that will hopefully be able to explain this a little better. Now, without further ado, let's go to the interview with Isabelle. Isabelle, thanks a lot for being on this week's show.
You're welcome.
Tell me a little bit about Pastafarianism. You are a practicing Pastafarian.
Absolutely. Well, what I know of Pastafarianism is that our divinity is the flying spaghetti monster, and our prophet is Bobby Henderson, who revived the religion in 2005. Of course, our religion dates from the creation of the universe, because Flying Spaghetti Monster created it. He created the world in 3 days. The most important thing to remember about Pastafarianism, certainly the message our prophet Bobby Henderson would like to spread, is that he wrote a letter to the Kansas School Board, because at the time there were 4 states in the southern United States where fundamentalist Christians wanted evolution to not be taught in schools, that only Genesis, only intelligent design be taught. And so Bobby wrote a letter saying that if the children were to be taught a religion, it would have to be the right one, the truth with a big T. And that's to say that the world was created by the flying spaghetti monster.
So being an atheist, that's a little hard for me to swallow, but we'll keep going for now. So I think that this might be sort of a misunderstanding with a lot of atheists and religious people, because I think that you have 2 schools of thought. Maybe you have atheists, a lot of atheists who really dig the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. I know I want to buy the book, the Gospels, and I just see it as being an absolutely brilliant parody, I guess, of religion. That's the way I first thought of it, right, when I saw it. And I think that's the way it's sold to a lot of people. So, and so that meant that when I saw people, like for instance, the gentleman in British Columbia who's fighting to get his colander, his hat on his driver's license, I can't help but think, but that's an awful lot of trouble for someone to do that for a gag, or to make a point. But what you're saying is that there are a number of hardcore believers in the religion.
That's right. And it may be surprising that I've become one because my background is in sciences, so I'm supposed to be rational. But something overcame me, and yes, I truly believe in the flying spaghetti monster. There were miracles, which never happened when I was a Catholic. He makes me feel really happy. So some part of my brain has sort of started to believe in him.
Does the religion have like different levels? Is there a hierarchy to this religion?
I think like a lot of religions, there are people who are perhaps more orthodox, others who are just sympathizers, if you like. Some people are more devout, and others are just happy to claim to be Pastafarians.
So tell me a little bit about the story, because I guess what got me interested in you was there was a court case that occurred, and can you give me a little background about like what led up to the court case where I think a Quebec judge decided that your case was, I guess, a waste of time? Can you give me some background on that?
Yes, it's a long story, but I'm a bit like Obi Canuel, whom you mentioned, the fellow from Surrey. In my case, I was a closet Pastafarian because I believe faith is something that should be private. But with the elections here, when the Charter of Quebec Values was sort of lost, that is, people decided that religion was important and ostentatious religious symbols were okay, I thought, well, this is my chance to make known my beautiful religion. So I decided to go for my driver's license with a natty little dish rag pirate schmata, as I call it, a little scarf. And my photo was taken. My license was fine. They even renewed it for the mention W. That is, when you don't want to go to the States, they issue a new license with the mention W because I have my Class 1. So I thought everything was fine. Until my health card was to be renewed, they summoned me to the SAQ. I didn't know why, and I stupidly went and was told that my picture had to be taken anew. I said, why? They said, you have to remove your headgear. And I said, I will remove my headgear with pleasure when all other people with ostentatious religious headgear take their headgear off. Mr. Paquette at the Henry Bourassa SAQ got very angry, and he said, you remove it now or I cancel your driver's license. And he said it, a bit like, you remove your shirt, you remove your pants now. I have all the power in the world, and you do as I say. So I thought, well, everybody needs a driver's license, and this is a bit abuse of power. So I asked him, I'm going to consult a lawyer, and if I need to, then I will take off my headgear, but I want to consult a lawyer. So he said, okay, you have until the 14th of May to come back and take the picture without your headgear, or you lose your license. And so that's why I consulted Julius Gray, who accepted my case.
So that case was brought to the court. Well, okay, hold on. So did that's when things get kind of complicated. So your lawyer Julius Gray, he represented you. I guess you said behind closed doors.
That is, I'm not sure if it was him or his daughter, Genevieve, because unfortunately I was not present. I was present at a 3.5-hour sort of interrogation by a lawyer from the SAQ and the attorney of the province, because the case had been sort of delayed. At first, the SAQ lawyer, who was a woman, said she'd gotten into a car accident, and then it was delayed again, and then another lawyer was put on the case, and I had that 3.5-hour interrogation. So I was present there to answer their questions, but at the actual, I guess, request for a hearing or for a trial, I was not there, and that's where the judge refused it.
So let me get this straight, because I think there was based on the story that I read, it sounded like, because there was no context, I guess, it sounded like you just sort of, gallantly marched in with your pirate uniform, and it sounded like, according to the story, it sounded like you marched in with a pirate hat too. And you just walked into the SAAQ and said, okay, out of the blue, I'd like to have my license now. And but is that the case or not? Did you already have a picture of yourself in similar garb?
I had a picture of myself with the little pirate scarf. And I had it since 2012. And like I said, in 2013, they renewed the license themselves by adding the mention W. So I thought everything was fine. And when I went to get my health card, I again put the little Pastafarian scarf, and the picture was taken with it. So I don't understand why Mr. Paquette couldn't just leave me my license. It was good till 2018.
Okay, so basically your license wasn't due to expire yet, and he decided that the picture that was on the license was unacceptable and that he wanted to have it changed.
Right, and I couldn't understand why, because ostentatious religious symbols seem to be okay.
It sounds like what you're saying is, I mean, I heard other people saying that this is some sort of waste of funds, but I mean, it strikes me that it's kind of a waste of money to redo a perfectly good license.
And it was certainly a waste of my time because, as you know, at the SAAQ, the waiting lines are very long.
Especially over there at that, and you have to get to that place too. It's not
Henri Bourassa.
fun.
It's not fun, and I had to go several times. No, I was quite disappointed, and I thought, why is he doing this? Why does he have total power? I think because he knows people need their driver's license, and in fact, I'd gone to have my picture taken for the motorcycle license, and as I was having my picture taken, there was a young Haitian woman next to me who was told, we can't take your photograph because she had tresses, she had...
Is this hair extensions?
Hair extensions,
Okay.
exactly, that were black, and she was very elegant. She had long fingernails and a beautiful purse, and they said, you'll have to come back when you've cut your hair.
Wow.
And so she was horrified, and she said, but this cost me a fortune. And of course, these extensions are expensive and take a long time.
It's also sort of a cultural thing. It can be a cultural thing in certain communities where women, I mean, almost exclusively wear their hair. I would be interested what the situation is, let's say, for an Orthodox Jewish woman who, they often cut their hair short, wear wigs, and
right.
Will wear veil type things on top.
But that's accepted because the SAQ recognizes Hasidic Jews as having a proper religion. In this case, the young lady was not showing any signs of religion, just coquetry. She was just being elegant. But they considered her extensions a headgear that was neither religious nor medical. And that's when because I overheard this, I said, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to get involved with something that doesn't really concern me. But I said, we can see this young lady's face perfectly. This is how her friends recognize her. This is what she'll be wearing if a policeman stops her. And I said, elegant as she is, even if you force her to cut her hair for the photograph, she will immediately go back and get extensions put in because that's her identity. And I said, half the women here are wearing veils. We can't see the contour of their faces, and yet that's acceptable.
I guess some of the blowback or some of the criticism that I noticed even from fellow atheists, was they say, it's really simple. It's such a waste of state money. Why not only allow real religions to have this right, or this privilege rather, to wear this headgear? And it becomes a really slippery slope for me. It becomes very arbitrary because, what do you do with, pick any other religion with not that many adherents, right? Like what happens, I don't know, if the Raelians want to come in and they want to wear gowns or something.
Or the Begum, because in Surrey, in British Columbia, there was a woman, the Begums are a Christian sect, and they wear a little diadem, a little crown. She won her case, but I say the real waste of taxpayers' money is if somebody wants to wear something on their head and it does not interfere with facial recognition, why have committees? Why make such a fuss? Why have pictures taken over again if it doesn't interfere with road safety?
So in a sense, it sounds like you have no beef with Muslim women who want to wear their veils and get their picture taken, so long as the rules are just level between everybody, regardless of religion or no religion.
That's it. Well, actually, if I may say so, I find the Islamic veil quite offensive, because to me, and this I'm not speaking as a Pastafarian, but as Isabelle, it's a symbol for me like the Nazi symbols. It's a symbol of Sharia law. It's a symbol that is offensive because many women died or were beaten or raped because they refused to wear the veil. So it's an offensive symbol for me. But I say, if they want to wear offensive symbols, that's their business. I want to wear a symbol of pleasure and equality. And if they're going to let them wear their symbols of oppression, then I want to have the right to wear my symbol of happiness.
So the judge threw the case out. Is there any path now, or are you just? I mean, you got your picture, but you only got your picture through some I guess basically saying that you were something you were not. Is that correct? How did you eventually get the picture? I don't think we covered that.
No. What happened is that I realized I was going to lose my license, and I needed a license for my job. So I thought, well, they don't accept the little pirate dish rag, but I will go dressed as another pirate. I will dress as Saida al-Hura, who was a Muslim pirate, queen of pirates, in Tetuan in Morocco. So she ruled the Mediterranean, the western side. No, let me get that straight. I think, well, Barbarossa was on the eastern side and she was on the western side of the Mediterranean. She ruled from about 1530 to 1560. And so I thought, well, this way I'm fulfilling what Monster wants. I'm dressed as a pirate. And let's see if they will reject it because I'm not Muslim. And I was sure they would reject it not only because I'm not Muslim, but because there's an obscene drawing on the back of the hijab. But they didn't see it. They took my photograph, and that's what the judge accepted.
What was the obscene drawing?
I'll show it to you.
Okay, we'll have to get a picture of this.
Well, no, I think you're going to get a fatwa if you do. It's really quite obscene.
Oh, I see. Okay, so
I can't wear it in public.
Basically, it is a rated X image, but it's black. It's black on green, so I can see where from a distance they might not have noticed it.
That's it. You have to look closely.
At this point, then, I mean, you have your license. I guess we wait another 4 years or something or however many years until this it could occur again, right?
Yes. And, well, because I was mostly scared of the arguments that would be, you don't wear your little dish rag pirate scarf all the time. Indeed, because my employer forbade me from wearing it. But I do wear it every day, a half hour before my prayers. And then I was afraid also that they'd say that my faith was not sincere. But what they accepted was a symbol. Yes, my faith was sincere, but they were convinced I was Muslim. And they asked me no questions about Islam, whereas they'd asked me so many questions about Pastafarianism. And I said, well, all the time I was Catholic. You gave me my driver's license since I was 16, and you never once asked me any questions about the Bible or the Holy Mother Mary or any of that. Why now all these questions about Pastafarianism?
You know, if I may interject, that's something I've noticed before, and that's that when you have social norms like this, a a lot of people aren't really interested in whether or not you actually believe in these things. They just want you to toe the line and go with the flow, right?
Right.
So, and in many, for what I've read in many of these countries, some of these Middle Eastern countries, et cetera, atheists and maybe Pastafarians, who knows, in these countries, they're expected to just sort of sink in the woodwork, and just as long as you just shut up, wear your veil or wear your whatever, you're good, right?
Right.
That's it. We're not interested in, you will say that you believe these things, and that's it.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm getting at there. So in the future, it sounds like this sort of thing might happen again. I hope it wouldn't. I posted on my blog, actually, that for me, it would be much better if the government just simply said, look, let's just save all of our time, and exactly, if visibility isn't impaired, if then wear whatever you like. Hairstyles change. On cold days, people are wearing scarves and what have you, all bundled up.
Yeah.
So why not just be realistic? People are identified mainly by their faces as well. By most people.
Yeah, so actually the question should be, why the obsession by the driver's licensing bureaus? Why this? It reminds me of the sumptuary laws, dictating what you can and cannot wear. And like you say, conformism, people are upset by people who are different. You're upsetting the apple cart. You're just not towing the line. And yet, to me, I'm quite prepared to go undercover and be discreet. And I find that the driver's license is a very discreet way of making our religion be known, because it's in your wallet, in your pocket, and you only show it to security guards or police people once in a while. And so they're the ones who need a laugh most of all. So I figured there's nothing harmful about it, but it really upset Mr. Paquette.
Yeah, so I guess it might upset certain people in authority.
The judge seemed to be completely emotional and quite angry. And what worried me was that he hinted that it was almost blasphemy. So I hope Bill 59 doesn't come in, and that I won't be dragged like one of our Pastafarian brothers in Greece who was jailed.
Really?
Yes, for having a site on Facebook called Elder Pastitios.
So what is that?
There's an Orthodox monk or some legend, and the Greeks are very attached to Elder, I don't want to mispronounce his name, but it sounds like Pastitios, which is a macaroni-based dish that is eaten traditionally in Greece. So by making a Facebook page of Elder Pastitios, this fellow, who's not identified, I've seen his name only once. The story has seemed to have gone underground because he was jailed because the Orthodox Church, which is actually very aligned with the neo-Nazis, with a movement called New Dawn, asked that he be jailed for blasphemy. A lot of Pastafarians are fighting the blasphemy laws. As you may know, the Pirate Party, which is not necessarily Pastafarian, but being pirates, there's a good chance some of their members are, in Iceland, was one of the first countries to repeal the blasphemy laws.
Right, exactly. So in that respect, it's kind of interesting that you have some overlap there between a lot of secularists and the secularist atheist community. So it's interesting when you have true secularism, and when you have you can have different people from different religious backgrounds or no religion fighting for the same thing. Even I'm certain that even moderate Muslims and some other people would be interested in the same thing, the same kind of secularism. And the thing is that you don't have to. I know some religious people who think my atheism is just as crazy as as my reaction to the flying spaghetti monster, where I'm like, I'm sorry, but you're a very rational person, but when you tell me this flying spaghetti monster thing, my brain just wants to leap out of my ear, right?
Right. But that's faith. That's the problem with faith. It makes no sense, but either you believe or you don't.
And the thing with that is, though, that regardless of faith and regardless of these things, I think that people in the atheist community, and also, if you can say community, and people in Pastafarians and other people from faith backgrounds can definitely get together and fight together and say, look, it's the same. I mean, it's the same as let's say a Catholic and a Muslim fighting for secularism.
Yes.
They're like, look, you've got tenets of your religion that I think I either don't believe in, or I privately won't say it, but I privately think is kind of kooky, right?
Right.
And the same thing is true for the other person. So I mean, that's the thing. That's how you get things done. And when you've got on the one hand, you've got folks, fundamentalist Christians, mostly in the conservative pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they all. Sometimes I think of them almost as the Borg. They're all in lockstep. They all believe in, and that makes a very powerful force, right?
Yes.
The majority of people could not buy into what they're saying, but it's because they're so
convinced.
They're so convinced, and they're also they're all doing the same thing. They're all believing the same thing. They get things done, whereas other people, it's like other groups, it's like herding cats.
Yes, because, well, science is showing that a lot of these fundamentalists have their brain is wired a certain way. They lack the bridge between the two hemispheres. They don't like nuance. They don't like things that are complicated or what seems contradictory. And so they don't doubt. We have to kill so-and-so. They don't believe, they don't act like us, and that's it. Whereas somebody who doubts more, I think it's Bertrand Russell who said that people who were more cautious and so forth couldn't get things done. Of course not, because you're weighing the pros, the cons, you see people's points of view, and therefore you're less likely to act out in, spontaneously and out of anger, because in fact, the fundamentalists, it's thought that they're acting out of frustration because they can't
or disgust.
Yeah, well, it hurts their brain to think of things that are contradictory, and so they get angry and frustrated.
So, Isabelle, thanks so much for being on the show.
You're very welcome. And ramen.
Ramen. Awesome. Rock on.
Thus concludes another episode of My Secret Atheist podcast. Music is by Earth vs. the World by the Polish Ambassador and Behind the Seas by Possimist. Both are available for download at freemusicarchive.com. Thanks for listening and tally ho.